Good morning, Anita. How are you this
I
morning?
am great, thank you, and I hope you like the review. I loved your books.
Thank you so very much, and I loved your review. Thank you for making it such a beautiful one.
Well, let me just tell everybody, Brenda Sue's on the air, and she is the author of something called Web of Deceit, and the other is Beyond Murder. And I have the first question I wanted to ask you though is, where did you come up with the star of your book? I was going to say of your show, but of your books,
I hope
Suzanne
it's a show
Morse.
someday.
That's right,
um,
maybe so. But Suzanne Morse, who is she?
well, to be honest with you, Suzanne Morse is a little bit of Brenda Sue.
I thought so.
Anyone who reads my novels will know that I have a very vivid imagination. And I have a lot of creativity. And I first wrote Web of Deceit as a catharsis to get all the hate and anger out of my system because I was very angry at my ex-husband because I was an abused woman. And Web of Deceit is about abuse and white-collar crime and drugs. And it gets into the family. It's a good book because it has murder, mystery, suspense thrillers, romance, and it also has family drama and estrangements. And all my books in the novels of the Metamorphosis series of novels, which is the fiction part of it, will also have this type of arrangement. They'll always have murder, suspense. Always, the Suzanne is like a good bee. She wants to be. She wants to rid the world of all the demons and bad people of the world.
Yeah.
And that's really what she does. Suzanne Morse, my middle name was Susan, and I changed it legally to Sue, so it'd be very easy. So it's Brenda Sue. And I used to teach art. And the second one, Web of Deceit, is about international art crime theft and adoption, which a lot of my cousins are adopted. And again, murder, suspense, and it takes place in Japan, in Beppo, Japan. And I had to do a lot of research, and I loved it.
Well, I have to just tell you that I think people, if you want to really get a book and get lost in it, you want to get her books because at first you're not, you get a little upset with what's happened to Suzanne, and a lot of people who've been abused, whether it's physically or mentally, and I certainly had some of my own things to deal with. It was really an aha book, and you kept saying leave, 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 and she's such a good person. She tried so hard, but like so many women, she just was caught in the web, as you said, the web of deceit, in a way.
That's right. In my own life and in the books, she was married for 15 years. And it took a lot because at my age, this is what you did. You got married, and divorce was not even heard of in those days. And I was the first one in my family and the first one in the neighborhood to get divorced, and there was a stigma. And you shouldn't feel that way. And I believe in transformative power of faith now. I believe a person can change themselves in so many ways. And the characters continually come back because I found that my readers really enjoy looking at the different characters and in making themselves or grabbing onto one or two and substituting their own lives as you would and in finding out what happens to these characters, whether it's Mrs. And I did a lot of it. I really do, like Mrs. Walsh. I named her because of my best girlfriend, Sandy Walsh, but I had her as Suzanne's housekeeper and surrogate mother because my best other girlfriend, Barbara, I adored her mother, adored her, and I wanted to honor her in some way, and that's how I did it.
And you did, and I guess what was great is now, of course, and I want to keep talking about Web of Deceit first, but Beyond Murder just continues her in a way, in something even now different, but we get to really know her, and will your books continue to have her as a heroine?
Her and Nancy Tremblay, yes. Suzanne Morse and Nancy Tremblay are the heroines. They work with the FBI, Interpol, and in Beyond Murder, they work with the Japanese police, which have different branches all over Japan, different areas. and which I didn't know, but they are. And it's very interesting because it is a continuation. And I'm on chapter 20 of my third fiction novel.
That's great.
And then a very nice gentleman friend of mine from Connecticut asked me to be a collaborator on a very interesting book called the Time Exchange Club. And I just read 2,000 words of that, and I said, oh my gosh, I have to do it. So we're getting together, and after my book is finished, which should be out by November, December of next year.
Brenda Sue, that is so exciting. And the reason I say this too is because you're such an entrepreneur. I mean, you've been through the mill, as we'll call it, and then you just took hold of yourself and you had your own. Why don't you tell people? Why don't you explain to people what you did?
Okay, I had it all. I had the large house. I owned a business for 32 years. It was the largest day spot in the Merrimack Valley. I employed over 20 people. I could buy anything that I wanted. I raised 4 daughters by myself, literally by myself. My oldest daughter was a very big help. And then I got sick. I developed osteomyelitis, which is really staph infection of the bone from a minor procedure. And I had to have 4 operations. I had IV PICC lines to my heart. And I couldn't work for over a year and a half, and I couldn't walk. And luckily, you never know what to see me now. And I don't have a limp. I don't nothing, except I can't wear those high shoes like the girls do today, which will kill them when they get older. They don't realize it.
Right.
And but I look pretty nice when I get dressed up, and I still, wear shoes, but they're not with the high heels. And I had it all, and then I lost it all. I lost the large house, my business, and before that, I even gave my kids weddings when I had the money. I never put away for a rainy day because I always thought the money would always be there. And I gave them weddings, large weddings. I even gave some of them down payments for their homes.
My
but
gosh.
The ultimate disgrace was when I went bankrupt and I lost it all. I lost it all.
Well, you didn't lose it all. Wait a minute. You didn't lose your spirit. That comes out in your books. It comes out now in your voice.
Thank you. It's a positive attitude, and I want to go on a speaking tour and as an inspirational person, and tell people that with a positive attitude, anyone can really change themselves if they want to. It's like the song "Man in the Mirror" by Michael Jackson. And you have to look back in that mirror, see the reflection, and like the person that you are and who's looking right back at you.
Let me ask you a question about your mother, because I always find people like you who have great spirit and you have such a love of life. Did you have a wonderful mother?
My mother is my both parents are marvelous.
See?
Well, my father died 6 years ago on my third daughter's birthday, which is coming up shortly. But I'm an only child. Yeah, but I'm not a spoiled only child. As my mother would say, I was loved because I did not come from a very wealthy family. We had a lot of love,
right?
And we lived in the same apartment in a 3-story tenement home in the city. And my grandparents, I lived with them, but I was very close to my grandparents too. But my mother just celebrated her 90th birthday.
Oh, congratulations! That's wonderful, Ben. That's wonderful.
And Anita, I'm telling you, she said something that was so funny. She said, "I want to go into a limousine, but not a hearse limousine." She said, "I've never been in a limousine before, and I don't want to do it when I'm dead." And so we took her out with a limousine, and we took her to the Capitol Grill, and it was just, we had a private room there, thanks to my cousin, who's part owner of the Capitol Grill, Ronnie Edelman. And he just was wonderful work with my oldest daughter, and we surprised her, and she really was surprised.
Well, that's a lovely thing you did. So you have pictures of her in it?
Oh yeah, I do. As a matter of fact, I do. We have to. I should put that on the web, and I'm so computer illiterate. It's disgusting, and I don't know anything about it. These 5 and 6-year-old kids can do it. I have 11 grandchildren.
Brenda Sue. That's right, 4 daughters. And so You really did the right thing. When you had the money, you spent it on the right things. You didn't go and gamble it away. You did what was
No.
good. And now it's all going to come back. And I think you're very talented as a writer. And you just keep doing this. And who knows what they'll pick up, the movies or the TV, because they look for good ideas, good people. You have good
Well,
character
I think
development.
So. That's what I try to release in my books is the character development.
Right.
I don't know if you ever read Woman of Substance by Barbara Taylor Bradford, but reading that book, and she was an English author, and when I read that book, I said, oh my gosh, that's what I want to do. And I loved Sidney Sheldon, the way that he wrote. And I have a lot of favorite authors, and I'm an avid reader, but I find that I love to write. And when I do emails, I just say at the end, I hope you didn't get blind reading my email because I love to write.
Well, you wrote me a lovely letter by hand, which I thought was wonderful. I didn't get a chance to respond to you, but I thought that was so nice of you.
Oh, a lot of people don't do that. They are my kids. I was surprised that I live with my grandkids now. My youngest daughter and I are living together for a while, and she's so funny. She says, Nina, they don't teach you how to write. They only teach you how to write your first name. And I can remember years ago doing the lines and the O's and all that for hours at a time.
Right.
And they don't do that anymore. It's amazing.
I want to get back now that we talked a little bit about web deceit, but tell me about Beyond Murder. Tell our listeners why they should get this book and what kind of excitement is in that one.
Well, I'll tell you, the first one to get is Legacy because it lays down the characters and who they are and how they develop. Then from there it goes on to Beyond Murder. And Beyond Murder is about international art crime theft. And the reason why I went into that was that I used to teach art. And I've always been interested in that. I've gone to many museums around the world, and I love to look at it. My favorite, I love the British portrait painters. And Pinky and Blue Boy was one of my favorites. And when I went to San Remo, California, and at the Huntington Museum, I saw the real original paintings. And they had lithographs there. They had the original books. And I said, oh, my gosh. And I found out that how a person goes about, believe it or not, doing crime theft, art crime theft. And as I was writing the book, there was a very bad theft in Boston, Massachusetts, where I come from around Boston, and I have all my books take place in Boston, and then we go to different parts of the country. But as you know, Suzanne and Nancy have spas, and they started their first spa on Newbury Street in Boston. And what we did was they were opening up a spa in Japan, and as it is, Nancy met the man who she didn't know at the time was the man that was in charge of stealing a lot of paintings. And you have no idea the theft, the money involved in international art crime theft is amazing. It really is.
Well, you're amazing. I mean, you are so talented, and yet, you see, what I like about all this is you've had a past, but you have a great future, and your writing skills are extraordinary. So here you have 2 books, and actually, the first book is smaller, although it is plenty big.
Yes.
You know, it's 239 pages, but now you got into Beyond Murder, and now we're looking at about 430 some odd pages, and it just never stops, and it makes you just want to keep reading it. I mean, your language is very, very good. There are no typos. You know, we find these things happen, but I'll tell you what I really liked. I liked where you have at the top the little butterflies by your name and by the title. That was a very cute thing.
Yes, metamorphosis, the change. And everyone, like I said, my second daughter really taught me about my positive attitude. And she said, Ma, it's so important. You go around life and you see people, and they never smile. Do you ever go into like a supermarket, and you smile at the person in back of you, and they don't smile. They just look right through you. And, I feel sorry for those people because they're either grumps or there's something happening. You have to take each day at a time, and you never know when it's going to be your last. To live every day as if it's your last, and have just a positive attitude in life, and that will change so many, in every way of your life. It
Yep.
really does.
Yeah, it does. And okay, so now let's see. The Beyond Murder, we finished.
And it has adoption. Excuse me, it has also about adoption, which I've always, my first cousins, a lot of them were adopted. So I brought adoption into it.
Yeah, I know you did.
Yeah, and that, and kind of having a gay person coming out of the closet.
Right.
Fabulous. And there are a lot of people out there, I don't know if you know it or not, but I also write nonfiction. And I wrote Jack and Jill, Not an Easy Climb, and that's about a pioneer in the transgender field and how she was born into the wrong body.
No, I did not know that you did that. Yeah. And that's another book?
That's another book. I took them all out and put them all out at once. Jack and Jill, Not an Easy Climb. And the way that people can get my books is right going to my website, and they can get it through www.metamorphosis, and I'm going to spell that, metamorphosisnovels.com. It's M-E-T, like in Thomas, A as in apple, M as in Mary, O as in orange, R as in rainbow, P as in Peter, H as in house, O as in orange, S as in sister, I as in Ichabod, S as in sister again, and novels with a plural, N-O-V, like in Victor, E-L-S, N-O-V-E-L-S, and .com. And it's very easy once you learn how to spell metamorphosis.
I know. Well, the thing is that a lot of people aren't going to be able to write that down. So our listeners, I think, are pretty well educated. And if they're on the web and they can put in metamorphosis, if it doesn't come out exactly right, it'll come up.
It has to come out Metamorphosis Novels because there's another writer.
Yeah, metamorphosisnovels.com. But you can go, of course, onto Amazon and you can put it in there. But the name of the book, that's really important. You can put Web of Deceit. The other book is Beyond Murder, and it's Brenda Sue, and you will be finding a lot more things coming out from her. But I do want to, I thought I wanted to do was just read a little bit so people can kind of get the feeling of how well you write. So let me give him an idea. This was from Beyond Murder. And just listen, and you'll be able to really see the scene because of Brenda Sue's great writing. It says, the room was on the second floor, a large corner room with one of the windows that she had admired looking out at the street. A large double canopy bed was situated in an alcove with two unusual sconces, with lights mounted on the wall on either side of the bed. A dark mahogany double dresser with another lamp, a beautiful Dresden female figurine dressed in a burgundy evening dress made up the only other furniture in this nice-sized room. It's so quaint. I love it, Anne. I can't thank you enough. I'm so lucky I met you. She walks toward Anne and gave her a hug. You have no idea what a feeling of relief I have, knowing that I have a nice, homey, clean place I can call my own. See, just that one paragraph shows your writing ability. I see that room.
Well, do you want to know something? I stayed in that room. And it was on Pelham Avenue. And it was in California. And that's where I went, and I saw the Huntington Museum. I went to the Rose Bowl Parade. And I wanted to stay in Los Angeles. And people kept saying to me, why would you want to stay in L.A.? It's a terrible area. And I said, I want to. So I stayed at my first bed and breakfast. And it was so delightful. I mean, I've never seen a room like it. And I've always been fascinated with actors and actresses. And one of the lead characters in Beyond Murder is an actress. And that's why I made that as it was. And my grandmother actually had that same Dresden doll lamp in her room. And I just said, oh, my gosh. And so I described it to a T.
Yeah, you did.
For enjoying that.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. And that's why I think the books she writes are so well done. Not only is there a great plot, and I have to repeat, but character development is extremely important. It's one thing to have a great plot, but if you don't know who those characters are and you can't really feel them in the room with you, you just get through the book and it's not meaningful. And I'm so glad, because I know you have taken journalism. That is what you do. But still, a lot of people don't have the talent you have. But the other thing is you're very pretty. I was seeing your picture on the cover. I mean, with all the life's travails that you've had, you have just really managed to keep it all together. And so do you have a man in your life now?
Well, it's the same man. It's the same man. We've been with each other since I was 12 and a half years old, believe it or not.
Oh,
and
my
we got
gosh.
back together many years later.
Yep.
And I've been with him for 20 years now.
Oh.
He's the gentleman that I went to all my creative writing and journalism classes. He was a sports writer for years.
Yep,
and he also produces shows.
So that's what you've done. That's beautiful that he's in your life.
Yes, it is. As a matter of fact, we're going on vacation next week. Right now, he's at a do-up cruise that he produces going to Bermuda, and I'll be meeting him next week, and we're going to go back. And that's one of my favorite places. And my first book, Web of Deceit, a lot of it takes place in Bermuda. And it must have been in the back of my mind because I had not hooked up with Harvey at the point. And it's really funny because I wrote his name is Stephen. And
that's right. I read Stephen.
Right. And when Harvey read it, he said, "Brenda, am I Stephen?" And I just looked at him and I said, "Well, you'll never know, will you?" And it's really funny because
it is.
It really is funny. But I love Bermuda so much that I had it selling in Bermuda for a while, and then when they had that terrible hurricane in St. George's, because I know a lot of people. I've been there at least 50 times, and they sold my book for me there, The Web of Deceit, and then we reissued it. But so many stores have gone under because of it, literally within the water, and had the roofs taken off, and it's no longer the same place it used to be. And it's a shame.
Well, I want to just take a second because I want to make sure everybody knows how to order your book. So let me just get your pencils out. Remember, this is Pencil Talk Radio. The first book we talked about by Brenda Sue, and that's the name of the author, Brenda Sue. It's Web of Deceit. And then after you read that one, you'll definitely want to get Beyond Murder. Of course, and it's called a Metamorphosis novel. And let's just tell you that you would get it by going on the web to metamorphosisnovels.com. And if you forget that, go on to Amazon, look up Brenda Sue, look up Metamorphosis novels, and you'll see Beyond Murder, you'll see Web of Deceit. And they're not expensive. It's worth every cent. You'll want to get them. They're paperback, but they have a very beautiful cover, and I think you'll enjoy them.
You know, it's funny. I had to call up alarm companies to find out how to do it, and I also called up pharmaceutical companies because on Beyond Murder, I had to put out some people, and I don't want to give away the plot,
right?
But how to put them under so that they can perform the script.
That's
and
terrible.
You know, these now you can go on the web, I guess, and do it. But years ago, they didn't do it when I was making my novels, and they actually told me. I told them how how much about they would weigh, and how much. And they told me to use Seconal in the coffee and how to do it.
Oh,
and
my
that
gosh.
would put them under. And I'm saying to myself, oh my goodness! And I did the same with alarm companies.
Well, that's what I think. That's what makes your novels so good. They're so believable. And Brenda Sue, thank you so much for being with us. I hope that the weather's good up there, and we'll be waiting for some more of your novels and your collaboration.
November, December, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you again, Anita.
Thanks, Brenda Sue. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
All right, bye. We'll be right back after the news. See you.